What is up, everyone? My name is Alex, aka Doer, and we are back with another episode of Doers Take Breaks, where we invite a guest, talk all things MMA, and jump into the world of collectibles. Today, I have the pleasure to sit down with two fellas that you know very well from POW Productions. We got my friend Chris here and Aaron. On our end, our cameras just went blank for half a second, but that's not going to come through on StreamYard, so we're good to go. How funny that it popped up right at the beginning like that. So where I want to start off is we'll jump into how you guys got into MMA, jump into POW Productions as well, because I'm genuinely interested to see what you guys are building there. But I want folks to get a sense of what your MMA take is, per se. So the next segment is called Underrated, Properly Rated, or Overrated. So I'm going to toss out some names, and what I want you to do is subjectively just bucket these fighters into whichever one of these three categories you think they fall into. So the first name, okay, underrated, properly rated, or overrated. Jose Aldo.
I'm going to say underrated. 100%, no question.
Go ahead.
Okay, I can go into it just because you want to talk about like the OG GOAT. Like, I mean, the Fedor of the featherweight division, 10 years unbeaten. I mean, you want to talk about name, like somebody who's got like a roster of names of champions, of big name fighters, stars. The resume is like crazy. Insane. Up there, on par with, I mean, greats of Chuck Liddell, John Jones, Randy Couture. I mean, you want to talk like legends. Like he has beaten, like only lost a handful of greats. And even the Conor fight, you know, he never got that rematch. And he talks about that's like his greatest regret. I mean, or biggest regret, rather. So, and people don't put respect on him. I mean, he did finally get inducted into the Hall of Fame. And, I mean, I just don't think people really, like, I mean, he was the king of Rio. This man was a star, never had to learn a word of English, or at least show that he did. And was loved by many people across the world. I mean, one of the most wholesome fighters. I think he's super underrated.
He's a big fan.
I
was like, I couldn't tell.
I think at this point in his career, I think he's properly rated. I think, you know, it's just where he's at right now. I think he's at a good spot where he's going to get another fight. There's always the chance to get back to a belt. But it's just when you're older, later in your career, you know, like you said, already in the Hall of Fame, already have all these people under your belt. You're fighting like younger athletes who are, you know, well prepared back. They're in their primes while you're, you know, towards the end. So I think he's at a good spot, and I think the next fight will really tell us the true answer to that. You know, whenever that will be, you know. So
yeah. All right, next one. Let's see. I think you guys will know the name. Tatsuro Taira. How are you feeling about our guy?
Oh,
you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go ahead.
I'm going to say properly rated right now. Dude has a lot of hype, but has shown that, I mean, it's legit. I mean, kind of like you know, you want to compare him to like other people that come into the UFC with a bunch of hype, like, you know, let's say 2 years ago with Paddy Pimblett, you know, has not aged so well. His fights did not look as big. Like his first couple fights, like, or first two fights, you know, crazy. Then the Jared Gordon fight was But then, you know, you have people like Bo Nickel, and it's like you haven't seen a whole lot of fight. Like all of his fights are finished in the first round, and, you know, it's really short, so you don't know exactly. And he's kind of getting these cans, so to speak, which, I mean, Jamie Pickett, I think, was a decent opponent, but even he said he didn't know who he was in the press conference. So, I mean, it's kind of one of those. But with Tatsu Taira, we've seen him get in trouble, get out of it. We've seen him stand up, go to the ground. I mean, I think he's shown that he's a serious contender, but I mean, especially in his weight class, we just got to see what he does in like the top 10, top 5.
Once he starts moving up.
if he's like an Ilya and he just like, you know, he's just starching everybody, you know, definitely could be
have another star probably in the making.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Chris,
I would say everything Aaron said's right. That he's like in a proper spot right now. Basically just copy your homework and turn it in. But I would say in the hobby itself, in card collecting and stuff like that, which we do a lot of, I would say his stuff's kind of overrated for me. It's like, you know, his autographs are at such a high premium and everything like that. For me, it's like you haven't seen enough of this guy like, yes, he's been in those moments and everything, like Aaron was saying, but you haven't seen enough of this guy to be worth more than a Chuck Liddell auto. You're telling me Tatsuya Taira base autos worth so much more than Chuck Liddell? For me, that doesn't make sense.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
That's
the hobby disrespects legends of MMA anyway.
Yeah, everybody knows that. No, they.
But anyway, outside of that.
We'll get to that later.
So on the same note, Tatsuya Taira, we have his opponent. I don't know if you guys saw the news of this, but he's going to be fighting Joshua Van. I believe the name is. Let me look at my notes. Yeah, Joshua Van. Joshua Van had, if you're not familiar with the name, he had a fight on a fight night maybe 2-3 months ago and looked absolutely incredible. He is such a good opponent. They're both up and coming, potential stars there. And so I had posted about this on IG that this fight is insane because you're basically taking two really big fighters and somebody's going to have to walk away from that, the loser. And it's just such a big risk because they both have such great potential. So where do you rate Joshua Van in this point in his career?
I would say underrated. I've never heard the name, so that's just me being honest.
I mean,
I love it. You gotta be honest.
100%. Because we do, like I said, a lot of cards and everything. One of those base cards are probably just threw to the side.
No,
didn't even think about
he's on
it.
a card yet. Put it that way. I don't think he's actually on a card yet. So that's probably another reason why he wouldn't be on your radar yet.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I try to keep up with the prelims and everything, but just sometimes my the schedule lately has just been a little bit crazy. With
all good, all good.
But
all right, let's do a few more. Let's do one more, and then we can jump into a few other things. I am curious to get your take on. Let's go. All right, underrated, properly rated, or overrated? Armin Sarukian.
Ooh, I think it's crazy to see the jump in the hobby, at least. So I would say that's a tough one. I don't even know. I'm thinking about it from a card.
I feel like I have a very basic answer.
Go ahead.
And I'm just gonna say properly rated. I mean, the dude is a serious contender. People know his name. I mean, he's household now. He's got super high level. He's young, so he's only got improvements to make.
I'm happy with where he's at because we had PSA 9 rookies of his, a PSA 9 red Prism rookie out of $299 and a PSA 10 of the same card. And at one time they were selling for like $50, if not less, for the 10, and it's jumped up. Last sold was $180. So he's properly rated. He's in a great spot. I'm happy about it. So
you're like, he's underrated. Keep driving that price up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you guys got to put some more hype behind my guy. Come on. But no, I think he's in a good spot.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. So now I want to get into the MMA front. What got you guys into MMA, the UFC specifically? Was it another organization? Just tell me how that story came together.
So for me, it started with Aaron, actually, just at work and stuff. So like there was just some hard times in my life where I didn't have a place to go, and Aaron was always a great friend and gave me a place to go. And so we just started watching UFC together. And so he was like, oh, this is Korean Zombie. Like, this is going to be one of his last fights. He's not going to fight for too much longer. Obviously, he fought a few more times. But, like, he was just, like, talking it up. And, like, I was like, cool, a little slugfest. Like, I'll hang out and watch. And then, like, the next weekend, I was like, hey, you want to watch some UFC? And he's like, yeah, man, you're down to come over anytime. And so, it just got us closer as friends and everything. And then that's when I got him into the sports card side of things. So
So you were always into sport cards first, but never really followed UFC. And then Aaron, sounds like you've been watching UFC. So I'll keep bouncing around just so we get the timeline right. So Aaron, when did you find the UFC or any form of mixed martial arts?
It started back in middle school, back on Versus channel.
And he's old.
Yeah, I'm 30. Just
You're 52, right?
Yeah. You already know. But yeah, it started back in middle school on Versus channel. They would play like WEC cards, like for the MMA organization WEC back in the day. It was the original they had all weight classes, but it was the premier lower weight class bantamweight, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight. That's where you really got to see those big names like Jose Aldo, Uriah Faber, Matt Brown, Donald Cerrone, Vincent Henderson, Nate Diaz,
taking us back,
Carlos Condit, Leonard Garcia, Korean Zombie originally. I mean, just I just started Miguel Torres is the fighter that got me into it. That was my first ever favorite fighter. That was the guy who made me fall in love with MMA.
What was his name? Say it again.
Miguel Angel Torres. He fought at bantamweight. He was like, I mean, he was on an unbeaten streak. I think when I first started watching him, he was like 18-1, and then
Jeez.
I think he went like still like it got up as high as like 24, possibly. I can't quite remember just because it's been so long. But he was like the original like WEC bantamweight champion, held the title for a couple years, and then I can't remember quite who he lost it to, but then, he was just constantly fighting in the top ranks, like fighting Jose Aldo, which I know that was a featherweight. They kind of bounced around back then because those were the older days where people would, you're fighting every 2 months, if not sooner, just because like those paychecks, aren't as good as they are now, which still I think could argue to be increased
UFC
a little
cap.
bit.
We got a little cameo.
Yeah.
But then
I've never heard of the Versus channel. Or it was a channel on like cable TV. That's interesting. I've never heard of it.
So, and you had just like, it was a bunch of like, it was just like guy TV. It had like hunting channel and fishing channel in the morning. Okay. It would have like motocross, monster trucks. It would have like those like dumb ways to die or like 1,000 ways to die.
I remember that. I remember those. Yeah, those are fun.
Fight TV in a sense. And then they would
maybe it was like a local channel to North Carolina. Maybe is that fair?
Possibly. It might be fair to say. I mean, at least maybe in my region, because I was going to say also in middle school I met another friend that watched. His parents would get the UFC pay-per-views, so like they were watching like the Tito Ortiz Ken Shamrock fights. Like the first ever pay-per-view I watched over there was the first Brock Lesnar not Ken Shamrock, Frank Mir fight.
Frank Mir, yeah.
And so that was like the first ever pay-per-view I went over there, and then it was like a couple weeks later I watched Matt Brown beat Uriah Faber for the bantamweight title or the featherweight title in WEC. Went over to his house for the weekend and told his dad about it. I was like, Uriah Faber got knocked out. And then he's like, what do you mean? And then like I pulled it up on YouTube. And so like, that's what really like got me ingrained in the sport, was just like that connection I had with my friend and his family, and, just having that positive influence with it. And it just really grew my love for the sport. And then, linked up with one of my uncle's friends. We would always go to Buffalo Wild Wings and watch the pay-per-views, like with Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, back when they were in their heyday. I've just always followed the sport on and off, but mostly tried to watch it as much as possible.
Man, you brought so many good memories back. I remember there was a window where I would literally watch every UFC card at a B-Dubs. And it was just the best combination ever. But you'd have to get there early to get decent seats, and unless you wanted to be like standing for the main event. But even the way you answered some of the earlier questions, I was like, oh man, like he's digging deep into the history of MMA and like pride and like all that. So I absolutely can tell you're a diehard. You've been watching it for a minute. So at what point did cards come into play for you? Was it through meeting Chris?
Yes, 100%. Look, I'll kind of long story.
So I'm going to bounce back first then.
Okay.
Chris. So then, all right. So you guys meet. You get into the UFC. What's one of the earliest fights or fighters that you remember and recall just being like, man, like I'm a fan. I am a fan of this fighter, or that's the fight that did it for me, where I was just in love with the sport.
That's a tough one. I mean, I would have to say it would probably be, for me, it would be the Charles and Islam fight.
Okay, so that's pretty recent.
That one, that was really recent, but that's one of the ones that really stuck out for me because, like, it was the day of my birthday, and Aaron brought me. So, like, I never had birthday cakes growing up and all that kind of stuff. Won't go into a full backstory, but like I just wasn't, in that place where I got that kind of stuff. And so Aaron like brought me a birthday cake, and he came up to work to come see me. He bought the pay-per-view, put it up at our work, which obviously was kind of illegal because you have to pay. Anyways, not the
we'll
point.
Get into that. That didn't happen.
No,
hypothetically.
Yeah, but hypothetically, if that did happen.
Allegedly.
But yeah, so then we just watched UFC while I was at work and stuff, and like I was serving a restaurant, so I could just walk around the restaurant and stuff. So I was like, that's my guy, and like that just like for me that was such a meaningful moment more than anything, other than the people at work who ended up eating my cake. But that's a whole different story
That's a
we'll
whole-
get into.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fighting story. Okay, that's when I started my UFC journey. So, but no, like fights itself, that one was just it was
That
a
stood
great
out.
card.
Yeah,
It
that
was so
moment.
much
But
fun.
UFC is
Yeah.
really about that. It's not. I like that you told me that, because going forward, I'll probably position my question a slightly different, because in many ways, the events that are memorable to us are sometimes not just because of the fights or the result of the fight, but it's because of the memory that was created through the community you're with, right?
Oh yeah,
The friends that you're hanging out with. So I love that you gave me that answer, and it makes sense why. Have you guys ever got to go to an event and meet some fighters? Or
So we've not personally met any fighters. We went to our first live UFC event together last year in Charlotte when they
Which
came
one?
with it was Fight Night Rosenstrike Almeida.
Okay.
And it was the Anthony Smith Johnny Walker, the weird one where Anthony Smith's trying to get mad at Johnny Walker, like, why are you attacking my family?
Yeah.
And
then Matt Brown
that
And,
was a very strange one.
Ian
was a
Gary
weird
knocked
one.
out or TKO Daniel Rodriguez.
True.
Matt Brown broke the record or tied for the most knockouts in UFC history that night. I mean, or that day rather, because it was at 11 o'clock in the morning card. But I mean, it was just so amazing. And for us, I mean, it was also memorable because we had just started our YouTube channel. It's one of our earliest videos. We went there, gave out UFC cards because just like me, Chris introduced me to the cards. I had no idea there was UFC cards. We were going around handing out UFC cards to people, like just giving them away for free, just explaining to people about the hobby, trying to get them more into it since they liked UFC. And 90% of the people had no idea that UFC even had trading cards.
Crazy about it.
Yeah, we had multiple people message us on Instagram afterwards saying when they got back home, they went and bought hobby boxes or retail boxes from their Walmart or their local store and ripped them, and they sent us pictures of what they got. I mean, it was just really cool.
Fun. So much
also
fun.
Organic. That's so dope, and that's a good transition. So it's funny you say so many folks at these events who are the target audience don't know that cards existed, right? That was me as well. I watched the UFC for so long, and it took me forever to realize like there's probably trading cards for it, and then they hit my radar, and here we are. But so for you guys, Chris, how did you? So you collected cards for a while. At what point did UFC cards hit your radar? And was it really more like, because I know that Aaron loves the UFC, I'm actually gonna go out of my way to like give him a pack or introduce him to it or let him be aware of it?
It was so casual.
Well, I feel like it started where we went to a card show together, just a small rinky-dink card show in a hotel. And we went to go play a card game, a trading card game that we really enjoyed at the time because, we just wanted something to do after work, whatever.
Yeah, we just enjoyed hanging out, spending time together.
Play some card games. And then we couldn't find any there because I was in there for all the cards. I did, football, basketball, baseball, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Like I did everything.
Yeah.
And he did nothing. He was there just for that. And we found zero because it was such a minute card game, whatever. And then I'm like, well, I mean, I saw some UFC cards over here on the table. And he goes, huh? Like, I mean, he didn't literally say that, but like,
I did.
I mean, he was like, what is a UFC card? Like a fight card? Like he was like so lost. And I'm like, no, like the sports cards, like all the other things. It was like what was it? A Prism hanger or a blaster box?
Yeah,
or something?
it was a retail blaster box, a Prism, 2022.
And he got a
Everybody
silver
starts with a
Prism
blaster
Ilya.
box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got a silver Ilya Taporia
that you still
card.
have.
Yeah, I still have, and definitely has a wonderful story with it.
What's the story behind it? Let's go into it.
So the story is just like that's essentially the card that locked me in because I pulled the card and I start freaking out because as soon as I pull it, this was when Ilya was a rookie, but like I had already seen his fight with I think it's Jai Herbert or Justin Herbert. I think it was Jai Herbert. But Herbert. Like I saw it where he got like dropped, came back, survived and just starched him, and I was like, oh, this dude's about to be a problem. Like I knew it. So when I pulled the card, started freaking out, and then Chris is like, oh, that's like this insert of the card is really good. It wasn't a numbered card or an autograph, but it was just a silver Prism. Yeah. And it was a retail blaster, so it's still nothing crazy. But he looked it up, and that one card was worth what I paid for the box. So it was just like also kind of like, oh, wow, that's so cool that, and I didn't realize even still like how low the UFC hobby is compared to like football,
That's right.
basketball, and baseball,
Yeah.
things like that. But I would love to get the hobby to that point, and I think it can definitely get there. But anyway, we got that card. But anyway, the really good part about that story is we were saving up for our first show, and I was parting with some of my cards
to pay for our card show, because
for the card show.
At the time, we weren't there. We weren't there yet financially.
Yeah, so we both had to make some sacrifices and get rid of some of our collection.
Yeah.
And I didn't fully check, but Chris pulled out like probably 20 cards that he was like, "Hey, I know you don't want to get rid of these." And I was like, "Thank you so much." And I was like, "Hey, where's the Ilya Taporia rookie card? The one that got me into collecting." And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "The one I got out of that retail pack, that the very first show you ever took me to."
Yeah.
And then we went and bought my Yuri Prohaska glove afterwards. The one that that day that cemented me as a hobby enthusiast. He's like, "Oh, somebody bought that for like $60." And I was like, "What?" And long story short, I have that card.
Yeah, I basically turn around.
I have a silver.
I turn
Ilya
around.
Taporia rookie card.
I knew I had one because I had already sold my cards because we were like matching or whatever.
Yeah.
And then but I knew I had an Ilya silver, and I was like, "Oh, it's right here!" And then I just pull it out of a random box and give it to him. I'm like, "This is the one." So now it's the replacement to the one.
It's the replacement, but not the real one. Oh,
yeah.
So
Man.
the story is even better with the card now.
It's like it's not the original one, but that almost makes it better in a way.
That's funny. That's what you
also
convinced him about, right, Chris? You convinced him to think it's the better one.
Yeah, I'm known for gaslighting.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's really a sentiment to our friendship right there. Something happens, but it's okay. We're good. We're good.
That's funny. So you guys get into cards now. I think it's a good time to start showcasing some of your biggest hits. How do you go from blasters to some of the beast cards, right? That you guys showed me off air a few days ago.
Oh.
We'll start with this one. This
Give
one
me
has
some
a great
fun
story.
stories. Yeah, give me
All
some
right,
fun
so
stories.
this one is actually when I started getting into UFC, and I didn't know a lot about Legends of the Game, and it was like this is how it cemented who my favorite fighter was of all time. Granted, I love Aljamain Sterling, but this is my favorite fighter, greatest of all time, no doubt about it. You can't argue with me. So I was sitting on the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna jump in this 2009 round 2 whatnot stream on Chicken 1 of 1 stream." Shout out,
of course. Shout out Chicken
great
1
guy.
of 1.
Gotta love Chicken 1 of 1. But he pulled this from like a $54 pack, and it's the red ink numbered to 25, and obviously I got it graded. But I mean, it's 2009 round 2.
Graded that well, huh?
Yeah. So it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So pack fresh, graded. Me and Chicken both live in North Carolina. I won't say any other details about where we live, but we met up halfway to hand off this card because it's such a big gem.
You got to see Chicken 1 of 1.
I've seen Chicken 1 of 1.
I've seen Chicken 1 of 1. Scared of the big chicken head?
There was no big chicken head.
That is awesome.
Secret news.
That is
I got to meet him, shake his hand, and never say anything else about it. That's our rule, okay?
Yeah, of
the chicken rules.
Of course, but that's a beautiful card. And is that PC forever or
forever?
Is there a price?
I said it would only be if I ever needed the money. Like, say I was stranded on an island and somehow a GSP fell into my pocket on the way down from the airplane that just crashed, and I had my backpack on, whatever. Then maybe I would trade it to somebody for 4 coconuts. But that would be the only way. So you might have to abduct me, throw me onto a plane, crash it, whatever, and that's how you'll get the card. But other than that, it's going to stay there. So
sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan.
That's the honest truth. Honest truth.
I
love that card.
Aaron, why don't you go next? What's a card you want to showcase?
Oh, we brought handfuls of cards, by the way.
Yeah,
we were ready. Whatever you want.
I was going to say, and also, unfortunately, we have some cards that we would like to show you, but they're off to get graded.
Yeah.
It's from a box of 2009 round 1.
Which we ripped.
Well, maybe after you show me some of these, you can speak on them. We'll get pictures of them and we'll just put them in.
100%.
All right, but what are you about to show us here?
So I have a, what was this, 2010? Yeah, 2010.
Second year.
Round 2.
Nope, not round 2. Main event. Sorry. I always forget many sets, it's hard to do.
I know, at least back in the day. But it is a Ruby Joe Rogan.
He pulled it out of the sleeve. It does not sit with no sleeve, okay?
Yeah. I just don't have it graded.
Pulled it out of his back pocket?
Yeah. He's just like, here we go.
I keep it in my wallet, you know, for
I
safekeeping.
mean, if you think about it, it came out of somebody's back pocket, basically. The story to this
Oh
card is
yeah,
insane.
that's the thing.
Aaron's
All
a
right,
scammer.
let's go. Story time.
I am not a scammer.
Okay, when someone walks up and names a price and you just pay it, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
that's
say
fair.
that first off.
That's
Okay?
fair. So
Aaron,
it
let
sounds
them
like
know
somebody
about-
just didn't know what they had.
Yeah, no clue. And Aaron didn't know either. That's
I'm
the
not gonna
craziest
lie,
part.
I didn't even know what
He
it
had
was.
no idea. I look at him and I was like, "Do you know what that is?" Anyways, tell him the story about our card show and how you got this at our card show.
Yeah, so like, kind of getting into it. It was our very first card show at the Dash Stadium, and it is the end of the day. I'm talking about our show ends at 4. It is 3:50,
Okay.
and these, I mean, we have like 80% of our vendors are gone.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting up front. I'm exhausted. Been running around all day. They walk up, and this guy has a little square box, like an old school square box for cards, and it's just cardboard. Throws it on the table, like, I mean, just lobs it
right to Aaron too. Right to Aaron. It was a perfect pass.
And he was like, "Is the show still going on?" And I was like, "Yeah, you guys can go ahead and check out. Most of our vendors have left. It's almost the end of the day. Blah blah blah." And he goes, "Does anybody here collect UFC?" And I just said, "Can you please walk away from me right now?" Because that's all you got to say to me to get my money. Like, it's no, like, I will give you my last dollar if you have a UFC card. Like, I will do it. There's no question about it.
Sure,
And
sure.
I was like, "Can you please walk away?" And he was like, "Why?" And I'm like, "I don't want to see anything in here." And he was like, "Oh, it sounds like you do." And so he just busts it open. Sitting on top is a Brock Lesnar rookie auto. First
Casually.
autograph.
Just casually.
Yeah, just sitting there. Just sitting there.
He's like, the top stuff's not the good stuff. Just wait till we get to the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, then, yeah. So I'm like, oh my god. So I gotta look through. So then he's got the Brock Lesnar first autograph. He has a Brock Lesnar rookie card with an on-card auto with JSA certification folded in the back of the sleeve. He has a Cain Velasquez first auto.
Mm-hmm.
He had the Ruby Joe Rogan, and I want to say
just so much more.
I mean, yeah, just
it was crazy.
Like Randy Couture first auto. I want to say a Big Nog. I mean, just
Skyscraper.
No, that was it. That was
at his house. Yeah, we went to his house and bought more of his stuff.
Yeah,
you went to his house because you had to finish the job and fully rock.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But I just told him. I was like, all right, if I was going to get anything, I got to have this Joe Rogan. And he was like, "What do you want for it?" And I looked it up on eBay. Could not find anything.
Yeah, they're
anything.
rare. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I was like, dude, I ain't gonna lie to you. I got no idea what it's worth, and I'm not necessarily just trying to give you a whole bunch of money because I didn't know what it was. I'll be 100% honest. And I was like, he was like, "Would you give me $40 for it?" And I was like,
"Done.
Take my money." And he walked off. He ended up selling like half of that box at the rest of the show.
But not to you. You didn't have interest in the rest of the box.
I wanted everything. I wanted everything.
There's business money and there's Aaron's money.
Yeah,
but then there's
Aaron got paid $40,
right?
That's true.
Yeah,
that's
no,
true.
You can ask him. There's no flipping with me in UFC. Like that's why,
if you bought it, it would have just been.
It's gonna
it's all chilling. Like that's why when I said make some sacrifices, like I only got rid of it for the card show, and I'm just essentially trying to get it all back. Slowly but surely. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, but, it is what it is. It's part of the hobby. It's the name of the game. And this Joe Rogan is definitely special to me. I treat it like a one of one because, I mean, it's just like...
Yeah, he just pulls it out of the sleeve, shows it off.
I know, but it's not great.
I know, you have pulled it out of the sleeve quite a few times now.
I know.
Hey, man, if you're going to dance with the devil, you might as well salsa. That's all I'm going to say.
When you only got $40 in it.
What else do we got in front of you?
I got a few more rubies. I just want to show off rubies because I love rubies. So this is going to be from the same sets. I mean, it's just like what's even his name? Spencer Fisher out of 8, 4 of 8. Hardy versus Davis, pretty cool one out of 8, first on print. Just red ruby. Got them all in hard cases and stuff because that's how you keep your rubies really protected. It's what I tell all my friends to do. Charlie Brenneman, ruby out of 8, all from main event. And then got 2 more rubies. Clay Guida, who obviously one of my favorite fighters.
Yeah, he's a favorite,
I don't know why, but he's just grown on me. Even though I'm not like the deepest UFC lore guy, I just enjoy Clay Guida.
He's fun.
And then we'll finish it off with an Anderson Silva Ruby patch out of 8.
I think I know that
So-
guy.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's pretty good. So
Yeah.
yeah, Anderson Silva out of 8. I got this out of a Chicken 1 of 1 stream. When you hit redemption autos that have already expired, you can
Mhm.
send them into Tops. And so I sent it in, and this was the replacement for a Czech Congo auto from
What?
2009
Are you
round
c-
1.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yes.
Yeah, they sent this and like 4 other cards. It was like 3 no-name
That's-
autos and the Anderson Silva.
That's
like,
wild.
okay,
And
Tom.
it sounds
Yeah, I need to see those 3 no-name autos so I make sure they're actually no names.
that's fair.
Because
That's
that's the
fair.
thing, you know, he'll be like, oh yeah, it's this no name. Just Randy Cotre.
Okay, that does not happen.
I
Okay,
don't-
that does not happen. I'm not that bad
John
about it, okay?
Bones something. John
Yeah.
Bones Jones.
Chuck
Yeah.
Liddell. I don't know
Chuck
this
Liddell.
guy.
What
Okay.
as far as whatnot streams go and breaks, it sounds like for
Mhm.
sure, Chris, you participate. Aaron, do you jump in these as well? Do you like them?
I used to, but I'm not gonna lie.
He's skunked.
Yeah, it's just not my thing. It's the sad tale everybody says of whenever I buy in the break, nothing I pay for hits, and whenever I don't join, it's like the case hits.
Yeah.
Fire.
Like only.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I mean it's just I realize it's the name of the game, but also at the same time, I realize if I just save up the money, I can just go buy the singles, hopefully.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, that's where my mind shifted to pretty quickly. From instead of just buying hobby boxes, I rather just
Mhm.
buy what I want, right? And it comes
Oh,
out
yeah.
cheaper net.
Oh yeah.
Net, yeah, but it is fun ripping.
So much fun.
That
Well, that's why
adrenaline,
this
you can't
podcast
pay
is
for
my
that.
excuse to rip. You know, there's a way to
Oh.
justify it as a business expense.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Write
sir.
that off. Write that off.
Just write it off.
He's got a
that's
few
really
more
cool.
rubies.
Yeah. I want to
Um,
see some more. Yeah, we got
Yeah,
time.
this is
Oh, yeah.
this is his PC.
Yeah, because I know I talked about Miguel Torres being the fighter that got me into MMA overall, but I'm a diehard Cowboy fan, and Chris
Very-
did something
That's a fun one.
very crazy and incredible for my birthday this past year, and he went and got me a whole set of, well, not almost a whole set, but I've got, what's it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rubies. But this one is from, yeah, this is when he fought, I think it was Clay Guida. This one is 1 out of 8.
Beauty.
This is when he was in WEC.
So that's
That's
actually
one of my favorites just because it shows like, and then you can see in the logo, the top of the logo right
Mhm.
here. I don't know, maybe.
I
It's got
can't.
the
But
verse.
when
Yeah.
I watch it big screen, I will. But from my
Yeah,
small
yeah.
screen right now, I can't.
Yeah.
No, I understand. But it's got the Versus logo. And then we've got another Cowboy when he fought Edson Barbosa. This one is 5 of 8. And then we got this one when he fought Melvin Gillard.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We got 2 Nate Diaz.
2 from the same set.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or, well, 2
2
Cowboys
rubies.
fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 rubies. And then he got me 4 of when he fought Eddie Alvarez.
So he's got half of the rubies right there.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
Makes it very rare. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
In sequential order, too.
Yeah.
I've got 5, 6, 7, and 8. So,
yeah.
I mean,
we just got to
have
get
you-
1, 2, and 3, and 4.
Yeah. Have you tried finding the others or no?
not
yet.
yet. I mean, we've essentially, as far as we know online, I don't think there is any more. We
Not
probably
posted.
at least not posted. We'd have to
Yeah.
probably like post in some groups or,
Okay.
make like an internet post in general. But I'm definitely trying to keep my eyes open just for any rubies I find anytime ever.
But Cerrone, he's got such a cult following. So many people I know. You post one thing in the group. I literally posted that I was looking for rubies, and everybody else was like following, because
Yeah.
everybody wants rubies of him. He's such
Yeah.
an iconic fighter. Everybody's like, I feel like anybody can happily say it's their favorite fighter, and everyone's okay with it. I don't think too many people are gonna judge.
That's right.
He's like, I mean,
He's fun.
Cowboys-
Yeah.
yeah.
He lived up to his name. I mean, he had a
Mhm.
few fights where you wish he would have showed up, right? But
yeah,
it is.
Oh,
what it
yeah.
is. It's,
Yeah.
it's part of the game. But so that's
Name of the game, baby.
that's one of your PCs. Cowboy.
Okay.
Is there another one? Give me like 2 more. Who are your like top 3 PCs? And this is for Aaron.
Right.
First.
Okay,
Okay.
Aaron first.
So top 3 PCs would be Cowboy,
Yep.
Yuri, and Max Holloway.
Fascinating. to
honestly,
hear you.
Like Max and Jose Aldo, because I really I kind of look at both my PCs of them and they're pretty much equal.
I'm fascinated to hear Yuri is one of them. Tell me how Yuri fits into that bucket of being a
So
PC.
it goes back to the day I got into the hobby. When I pulled the Ilya Taporia rookie card, Chris took me to the hobby shop that he goes to, Score More Sports, shout out them. And, I ripped a hobby pack, and I was just freaking out over every fighter I pulled.
It was base cards.
It was just
Oh,
base
base
cards.
cards that he celebrated.
Yeah, I didn't pull
It was-
one numbered card, one auto, nothing. And I'm just like freaking out.
It was Chronicles. It was Chronicles Hobby, I believe.
Yeah, and then the owner gave me a bunch of Donruss bulk, no inserts,
Yeah.
just literally the bulk. And then I'm just like swooning. I'm just like freaking out. Like I'm in love with this. And then they have a Yuri Prohashka autograph glove.
When he was champ.
Yeah, this is when he was champ, before the injury even happened.
Yeah.
And like I was all about Yuri when he came to the UFC. I didn't like know a whole lot about him, but as soon as he got signed, I went and like did as much research as I could, watched as many of his fights, and just if you look at his paper record, like he had like 7-8 losses when he, or 6 or 7 losses when he came in, but I mean he had a 98% finishing rate. I mean, dude was just going in there, kill or be killed, and that's what makes a fighter, like that's what makes me love a fighter, like Cowboy, like Max, like Justin Gaethje, like just all those people, like Yuri, somebody that can go in and just like throw caution to the wind, but also still find a flow state in the chaos to where
he's skilled. He's not
loves
fighting.
it.
Yeah, he's not fighting like a street fighter because that's his only option. He just likes to kill or be killed. But we obviously know he's very skilled.
Exactly. I mean, and he's very mental in the fighting aspect, but it's like he's definitely going at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just that's also another reason why I really like Yuri and PC him, is just because like the mentality behind him is just like really encouraging and I mean positive, especially with a lot of these fighters. I mean, they're professional athletes and everybody's different in their own way, but I mean, Yuri, he used to be crazy back in the day and he's learned to calm himself down, but I feel like I'm getting a little carried away with that spiel now. But I definitely like Yuri.
I like it. All right, Chris, who are your 3 PCs? It could be more,
All
but
right.
just what are the top that come to mind?
Specific people, okay? Because like obviously I could sit here and say rubies and 1-of-1s because I would love to buy any rubies and 1-of-1s that I see out there, okay? But if we want specific people, it's going to be GSP above them all, okay? It's going to be Aljamain Sterling right after that, which I know is different. I've got a signed glove up there. I've got like 8 signed cards, a rookie auto, like all that stuff sitting in there with the signed glove. And then the third one is going to be that people that GSP has beaten. I don't know why. It's just a weird thing that I like to do. I like to collect people that GSP has beaten.
Which ironically
just to put the GSP
great.
cards on top, and you use those just as like
I sit there and I play with them. It's more fun with the hobby. Pew pew.
Well, yeah, because he can sit there with the GSP and be like, "This is my favorite fighter," and then he can sit there and show all the legends that he's beat in the sport. And like, this is why he's my favorite fighter.
Yeah, it's like you want to say
he beat the original GOAT. He beat the GOAT
I mean,
hybrid.
the concept of having that in a layout is actually pretty cool. If you had a case where your GSP is just right there.
That's what he's working on.
I'm working
on it.
That's really dope.
This is a cool one that goes with it, though. Matt Hughes, BJ Penn, and GSP triple auto.
I've seen these triple autos. These are beautiful, dude.
Yeah, it's numbered out of 5. I bought it at a card show. I was like, why not? It's for the PC.
What'd you pay for that? If you don't mind.
I paid, I think, $200, which I think is really cheap. When it came on a Panini, I've heard that they were $300.
That's fair.
So, yeah, I was like $200.
That's one thing I'd also like with the hobby, like getting into it kind of confuses me. Like, certain brands, like you can have a high name auto, but if it's a certain brand, it's just not that important.
Yeah,
like that. I mean, and those are legend. GSP, BJ Penn, and Matt Hughes. You want to talk about champions, like people that set the bar so high that, I mean, they evolved the sport of MMA. Each one of them. Like in a short time too. Like they expanded your mind on what the sport could be and the potential that people can have in it, like consistently.
Yeah, you guys prompted two questions in my mind. I'll say them out loud so I don't forget. Leaf and then custom cards. We'll get to that, but before we get to that, one of your PCs is the most entertaining fighter in all of UFC. all of professional sports, Aljamain Sterling, especially at UFC
Mhm.
300, according to the fans.
That was
Uh,
so much fun. Like, what are you talking about? That was fun. That was a fun
I
fight.
will tell you. You can look at my Twitter post now X. I defended
Mhm.
him. I said, look, he's
Thank you.
not wrong
Thank
when
you.
he says that he had the most dominant performance, because technically he completely made Cater look like a rookie in there. That's not an
Yeah.
easy thing to do to a professional, athlete ranking that high up. So props to him for doing that. I go, this was
Mhm.
just unfortunately not the card to do that on, because everybody was chasing this crazy 300K bonus worthy finish, right?
Mhm.
And not to say he wasn't trying to,
Yeah.
but it's just it doesn't lend itself to be that type of a fight that most casuals will appreciate. So to me, I thought it was solid performance. I can appreciate it, but I also understand, you have to understand, Aljo has to understand the UFC is an entertainment company,
Mhm.
and it's not so much just a mixed martial arts, sports competition anymore. So that
Aljamain Sterling knows UFC is an entertainment company. He's the number one actor for the company.
All right. All right. So I will say, as someone who is newer to UFC, I love the performance. I enjoy the grappling side of UFC.
Oh yeah, very
It's
much.
one of my
I'm
favorite
just
things.
talking trash because it's his favorite
Well,
fighter.
But
Yeah.
like, it's literally one of
One
my
of them.
favorite things. I mean, when you look at GSP and his wrestling, I
Yeah.
mean, same thing with Aljo. Like, just the ground game that they had, it's so much fun to watch. To
Yeah.
see the subtle movements that they do, to have that control, and to like, I don't know. I just love it. I just love it so much.
I
And
agree.
like, it's genuinely entertaining for me. Like, yes, I like to watch a slugfest, but to see the technicality on the ground is so much fun. So I'm a
I think
freak.
it
I'm a
didn't
weirdo.
help.
That's fine.
I think it didn't help that what's his name, Charles and Armin had the match they had as well, because that one was as on the ground as you mentioned,
Mhm.
but it was just more exciting, right?
Yeah.
There was closer. I think because both were so good on the ground, it became more of an exciting match where Cater
Mhm.
felt like he just didn't know what to do, right? Like he
Yeah.
just
It's
so.
crazy how you fight Max Holloway. It's such an amazing fight,
Mhm.
and then you get in here with Aljo, and you just like don't do anything on the biggest card of the year. So I
Correct.
mean, I'm happy about it, but like
Yeah.
for me, it just shows like how technical Aljo is. Like,
Yeah.
maybe he should have been in there with Max. You know what I mean? Because like he deserves that BMF. If you ask me, probably he deserves heavyweight champ. I mean, honestly, he's the greatest of all time. So
It's that
Yeah,
bad
the human
MMA math you're
backpack.
doing right there.
yeah, yeah,
That human
yeah,
backpack. Every time you watch this fight, you take a nap.
yeah.
Oh man! All right,
Pause.
so what I want to
Ah.
touch on is Leaf and custom cards, and then we can segue into POW Productions division for what you guys are building.
Mhm.
You guys touched on Leaf, and you were like, not the way that the community and the market prices cards such as Leaf versus something else. What are your thoughts on those type of cards, and is your answer different for UFC versus all? Oh, I missed it. Put it back up. Is it
Oh, Jose Aldo.
Jose
On
Aldo?
card auto from
Is it
Leaf.
is your answer different for UFC and other sports? Like I feel like I don't know if it's fair to say there's caveats to the UFC trading card collection of cards
Mhm.
out there, because it's still so early on that getting a Leaf card that's a rookie of of a goat in the sport is probably a
Mhm.
smart thing to do if you can, because 20 years from now, as the hobby grows, it's going to be one of those really rare cards that folks look back at that were underpriced. But what are your thoughts on
Mhm.
Leaf? And then we'll get into custom cards.
You want to go first?
So I think that, I mean, when you look back at the 2010 Leaf set, which is super iconic, I'm pretty sure it doesn't have Fedor autos in it. I could be
Yeah.
wrong on that one, but I'm pretty sure 2010, the Leaf set has Fedor autos. But it has so many legends. It's got Cowboy. It's got so many just random people, but it's got so many great people. I think
Need Khabib to
Roxanne.
sign Leaf.
Yeah, but he wasn't signed in 2010.
No.
But you even got like Roxanne Modafar, like all these random weirdos.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's
She is not weird. She's the happy
okay.
warrior.
She's so awesome. She's actually really cool. We've
Yeah,
DM'd on Instagram. She's super nice. But no, so it's like I think it's so cool, especially on the UFC side of things. I think in other sports it doesn't hold up the same because
Correct.
like there's
Correct.
so much that you can show any guy or woman, shirtless or in their bra or whatever, like on the Leaf card, but in like other sports, you can't show the 49ers symbol. You
Correct.
can't show, LeBron James in his jersey, and it takes everything away from it. But just seeing like a dude with his tattoos out who's like ready to fight, like, in whatever stance, that looks good. Like you can put the cage behind it, like you
Yeah.
see the Jose Aldo.
Yeah.
That looks awesome.
The texture
that's not a
cage on the
bad looking
background is,
card.
like so sick.
Yeah, I love it in UFC. I think there's tons of great stuff for UFC wise. Custom cards, I also think are awesome. I think the Bo Nickel cards, like I think that was super sweet. That just came out. So I think there's a lot that can happen with custom cards. I'm not gonna personally pay for it. It's not for me, but I can definitely see why people do it, especially custom downtowns. I think they're super dope. If we got a downtown made for us, I'd be losing it. We got to do that.
Yeah.
I just thought we got to do that. Anyways. I'll let you talk about it, but
before Aaron, before you jump in, because Chris brought up the Bo Nickel card, I have to plug it. So I interviewed Spectre Sports Art, right? So Jordan Spectre, he's the artist behind the Bo Nickel trading card, the rookie trading card that just dropped on April the 18th. There's still some available, but if you're also on the do I want to pay $75 for a card or not? It's a nice card. There is a giveaway on the episode that I just dropped. So episode number 9, all you got to do is comment on that video. So I suggest you guys do that. You guys might just hit and get lucky on that. But yeah, I like custom cards more because of what they do for the athlete. It allows the athlete to grow their brand independently of any big licensed product. And it puts way more money in their pocket than the deal that they're signing, to be on a Topps card or on a Panini card. Nothing wrong with those. Those cards are beautiful as well. I just like the idea of it. But I have received early feedback on what folks might have wanted to see on the Bo Nickel card or custom cards. So once you guys get a chance to see that, DM me also any thoughts that you have on what would take a custom card to the next level so that you no longer are I probably wouldn't buy one, and instead you're I absolutely need to buy one, right? So go check that out. Let me know. But now, Aaron, what are your thoughts on custom cards?
So on custom cards, it sounds like I didn't know enough about the world of it because it sounds like now it's you have artists, which I knew that with certain sets they have hand drawn cards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I just put custom cards as I've seen people that will take different cards from different sets, cut out certain pieces and layer it to make a new design or throw some patches in there, make it very custom. And so that's sort of what I thought. And just from that aspect of it, I definitely see where people are skeptical on really putting a lot of money into it, but I can also appreciate the time and talent that it takes to create those. Yeah. And, I think it's something, I know that companies have higher end cards like National Treasures, Immaculate, things of Flawless, things of that nature. But I think, potentially it could be another market that the card companies could utilize in having card artists that,
and they already do. To be fair, they do tap into. They do tap into them. It's just not as promoted. Let's say maybe it's not even that it's not as promoted. I think in general we're in a very still young hobby. Right?
Yeah.
So the attention 100%. Is just not there, right?
And I think it could very easily grow, and especially grow the hobby. Just showing people that you can get these custom looking cards or very different off looking, not off looking, but off print of what's normal, and it could probably entice more people to get it. And also, maybe they just want to get those individual or those custom cards.
I was gonna say, and it's actual one of ones, and stuff like that 100%. For custom cards versus a printing plate. I had I've got a Demetrius Johnson just printing plate, but there's 4 different variations of a printing plate. Or how there's the black one of one, the superfractor one of one.
Yeah.
There's X, Y, and Z. There's 15 different one of one. So how one is it?
And then the out of 10s, but then you have the retail, the hobby, the these short prints, and with those custom cards, you have an even more finite amount of that inventory. So it's it just really adds the value, and not for nothing, it just branches out more for people and what they like, because everybody likes something different.
Yeah. And I have to ask, how did that not make its way to the screen, that printing plate of Mighty Mouse?
Okay. No, that's it's really cool. It's
goat.
I don't even know what set. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. 2012 finest, the magenta plate.
How was the story on that? You bought that, pulled that? How do people get printing plates? Is that a card you pull?
You just get them in packs. Yeah, you just get them in packs. They're randomly assorted. So there's I'm not fully sure, so don't destroy me, but I know there's a yellow, cyan, magenta, and I think there's one more color. So there's 4 different variations for the printing plates. That's about all I know about them. People for some reason just don't love them. I bought a Chris Paul 1-of-1 printing plate out of Immaculate for $10 at a card show.
Shit, I'm gonna start shopping.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start
Yeah,
shopping then.
so
Eric,
that's
the
what I'm
UFC
saying.
Cardfather, has a ton of these printing plates, and
Yeah.
they're beautiful.
Yeah, no, he has so much cool stuff, and like the people and like that he knows and has met, dude, he's so cool. Like I've DM'd him on Instagram because I'll find random cards and like UFC collections I buy. That's like, so it'll be like a Clay Guida, and then it'll have on the same exact card, it'll have a completely different name on there, which is not like his nickname or anything. It'll have like Guida versus whoever he's fighting. And so it's like a weird short print from 2011 Moment of Truth or whatever. And there's like all these just different weird cards that I'm just like, huh. Just DM him and he's like, yeah, man, it's this. Okay.
His knowledge of it is wild. He's like a library, right?
I would love to be at that point.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
So I'm going to read something to you, and then I want you to tell me a little bit about this. So POW Productions is ran by a few happy faces local to North Carolina. We plan to take over the sports card show scene with innovative ideas and truly putting on shows for the people. So tell me about where the idea of this came. What about a card show that you guys went to that rubbed you the wrong way where you're like, you know what? We can do this better.
Yeah.
I'm going to let him take over on this one.
So for me, like the idea actually originated, and this is going to get sappy, okay? It's going to get a little sad. So basically, my dad was the one who really thought of the idea because I was working a job. So when I was growing up, he took me to leadership conferences, business conferences, all these different things, always taught me to be an entrepreneur, even at the age of 12, 13, 14. And so me and him have been so invested in the hobby. I've been setting up in shows. We had a flea market shop for about 2 years. Like I've been heavily invested in this since I was about 8 years old. First card I ever got was a Jackie Robinson patch card that he gave me for show and tell for class. Because it was like a Jackie Robinson themed show and tell, or like a baseball themed show and tell. And Jackie Robinson's one of my favorite, historic players of all time. So basically it was his idea, and now it's really to commemorate him as he passed away last year, 1.5 months before our first ever show. So it's been some of the hardest times of my life, going through these shows, but it's been something that I know he's so proud of me for. And so it's one of those that it was really his idea that we got to create. And, he was like, oh, you guys are already doing the YouTube channel. You're already doing this stuff. Aaron's already heavily involved in it. You could do this. Like, I know you can. And so we did it thanks to him and, kind of his ideas on it. So that's where we started from.
That's where it originated from. So, that's a beautiful story. And what's the vision to what was the wording on it, to be and have innovative ideas, right? And put on shows for the people. What is full transparency? I've been to one show, right? Yeah. And my experience was great. So I plan to go back in August to the next show that's available local to me. But what are some things that you guys feel you're doing different that really have already started to pay dividends, and you see it through the feedback and returning customers and returning vendors, right?
Do you want to start or me?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start it and then I'll let him tweak.
I've got some ideas, so I mean,
I'll just, because our thing is we really try to focus on growing the hobby. That's the main thing, and having a positive experience. And so we always try to go to.
You sound like a robot.
Well, I mean, but seriously, that's for me, that's been the biggest thing, because I've wanted to grow the hobby even more because he got me into it. And it's just the community of everybody that collects. Yeah. It's one of those, it's almost like kind of like a work relationship type of thing. Every time you see somebody at a show, you catch up on how they've been, what they've collected, how their families are doing. And it's just, it's such a wonderful community, tight knit, and everybody is super like-minded, and it's never really a bad
summer camp. Some compared to like a summer camp. It's like coming back together and getting to see familiar faces and catching up.
No, definitely. And that's what I love. And just like, for me, our first show, the biggest takeaway was how many people that were going up front, leaving, saying, hey, can I use this ticket to get back in? I was talking to somebody in there and they're interested in what I have at home. So I'm going home to grab everything I've got and come back. And I'm like, yes, please go. Yeah. And it's just like the amount of people it seemed like that we got to come in that didn't take the hobby seriously, or maybe didn't know much about the hobby at all. Yeah. Just really wanted to dive more into it. And just like, seeing the parents' faces on the kids when they get to learn or when they get a card that they've been looking for, or having somebody even teach them like what to watch out for when it comes to fake cards, and just like helping them learn and have a positive experience, giving away free packs, like just trying to really think about like the people that come in the door and just trying to think about their experience, and just also not trying to do things in such a traditional way of like he said, the first ever show he went to was in like a hotel business conference room. And that is something that is kind of nowadays, at least in our area, almost like normal. And with us, we want to make it seem like a very fun, family friendly place, which is why we always try to look for different places to go to, like a baseball stadium, like a giant conference center or convention center that can host huge events.
Yeah, and I would say that's our biggest thing that we did that's kind of innovative, to touch on that side of things. I'll start with just going off what he said a little bit, but we're just really surrounded by the right vendors as well. Because, I mean, me growing in this for so long, I've know a lot of vendors from the start.
That's
some
where
of the most honest, best people
was built.
Exactly. Yeah. So many people who just knew me, knew the face, and then we started to expand into the shops themselves. So we did a tour of North Carolina, going across as many shops as we could, promoting them on our website, as well as promoting ourselves at their shops. So it was a win-win for both of us before we even had our first event. We were already promoting local shops and showing that we are about the community, because we did it free of charge. We're not charging people to do videos for their shops. We didn't want anything from them. We said, here's flyers if you want them. If not, that's okay. Like, we just want to do a video for your shop. Yeah. And so we would do little shop interviews and take videos of the shop, post it on our website. So when you go on there, you can just click shops in North Carolina and then choose what area you're looking for and go see somene's shop without even having to walk in the door and be like, okay, I want to drive here. So that's one thing we do more for the community.
I have to jump in and just say, hey, you guys started by saying we want to give value, right? And you guys gave more than you took, and maybe are still giving way more than you're taking. Right? Maybe you haven't even started your take at all, right? But it sounds like you guys definitely went about it the right way, and the goal has always been to grow the hobby, right? And in the process, obviously, grow your brand and POW Productions. And because of our generation, you guys are tackling it from the content side and being so present with that, which I'm sure is a breath of fresh air for some of the card shops that you guys visited, which maybe have historically been, older hobby, hotel lobby type card shows, to your point, right? That's kind of what I had heard of card shows in the past, that they were literally just in the hobby, in the lobby of these hotels. All right, but yeah, keep going. So then that's one piece of it. And then what else do you want to share on it? Because I have a few more questions too.
Yeah. It was basically just that we do it at the baseball stadium. So we go under all the concessions. They have all their beer and food open, so you can, get draft beers and a hot dog while you're walking around the show. Our first show ever was 100 and some tables. So we didn't start off small. We started off with a dream, a vision. And I think that's what really got us there. Is just knowing that we had, the ability to do what we wanted to do, selling half of our collections just to invest into this and put our money straight into this, put our money into the ads. And like you said, the content, I mean, we do so many comedy bits and stuff like that people eat up. I'm telling you, people love
you guys are good.
Our
you guys
ads.
are,
well, they either love it or hate it, but either way, you're talking about us.
Yeah, 100%. So.
Exactly. I mean, we can't brush over it, right? Because you guys are saying it so casually, like it's no big deal that you guys have these big shows at baseball stadiums, convention centers, you name it. Tell me the challenges, early challenges and the difficulty of landing a spot like that. Because I can't imagine you just call them up from like a number online and like, hey, I want to have a card
You would
show.
be surprised. You would be surprised, my friend.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe it is.
Getting the venue was probably the easiest part. Getting the vendors was the hardest part.
Yes.
You had to go up to you'd have to either walk around a show or go to a shop and run into the right person. And then so many people would be like, who are you? I've had shops that we're close with now. The first time we ever went to their shop, we had 30 followers on our Instagram, and they kind of just brushed us off. Now they're so close with us and we're great friends. But it's it's so many people you had to convince that I am a person in the hobby. I will make this show happen. It will be worth your time.
Yes.
That's right.
And so it took so many steps and hurdles just to get our vendors locked in. because
But
like
you
we have been,
appreciate those early yeses, right? You appreciate the
yeah,
first
yeah,
message.
100%.
No, we will always
Yeah.
remember like the first
Yeah.
5 people that said yes to our
Mhm.
show, and we will always make sure
Do
that,
right
like,
by
we
them,
stay
little
in
things,
Yeah, yeah.
serendipity, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it goes a
You
long
want
way.
a water bottle, whatever? I'll get you one. Don't worry.
Yeah,
You're my guy. You know.
yeah.
I mean, the first ever person we had sign up, I mean, it was literally perfect. Like, it was like his name and everything. It was just amazing.
Should you share that? Can we share
It
that?
was. Yeah, it was just a guy named Lucky, but
Yeah.
that was just
Oh,
his
okay.
name.
First ever guy. I mean, he bought, like, we hadn't sold one table yet. I'll be honest, a little transparency.
It's
But we
okay. I
hadn't-
mean, you
We
gotta
were-
start somewhere.
No, but we were
Yeah.
telling everyone, we're like, we got like 60 filled in,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
I'm telling you, this is gonna be the thing.
You gotta fake it till you make it, man. They ain't
I
lying.
love
Yeah.
it. I love
Bro,
it.
like straight up. And then he's like, what? Like, who are you guys? You know, he kind of gives you that like look.
And
like,
then
huh?
he was like sitting with this guy, and he's like, "Are we doing anything June that weekend?" And he was like,
It was
"No,"
July.
or July that weekend, and he was like, "No, we're free." And he was like, "I'll grab 4 tables," and
Yeah.
we were like, "Okay, you can go online and pay." And he was like, "I'll just give you cash right now. Is that cool?" And we're like,
Okay,
Yeah.
done. Why not?
and
So,
so it just like ever since then, like we always like it.
Yeah.
The ball really started rolling after that, because that same show, after we talked to him, we got 10 or 15 more vendors that day
Yeah.
to sign up, and it
Yeah.
really just took off
it was
from
like,
there.
The domino
So,
effect.
it-
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And, so tell me, like I know the vision, right? The big mission statement is grow
Mhm.
the hobby, but I don't know if you guys have thought about it, but like 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now, like how far out have you thought about what it is you're trying to build and where you want to be, and like what you're trying to do with this? Like how? Yeah, I'll pause there and see where your thoughts are.
So I would say our biggest goal is to first off be, we always want to be human with it. So that's like the biggest thing for us, as even as we do expand, we want everyone to know our first names, like have our phone numbers, and like have direct contact with our people.
Yeah.
So whatever level we get to, that's always our end goal, is to be people that the vendors can text or whatever, guests can message and be like, hey, what's going on with this? Like we want to always be those kind of people that you have a face to, because there's so many shows you don't really have a face and a name.
Yeah.
So we want to always have that at our shows.
And we try to stay prevalent at
Mhm.
as many local trade nights.
Every trade
up
night.
to 2 to 3 hours away.
Yeah.
Like we'll take off of work just to go to a Pokemon or a sports trade night,
Mhm.
Yeah.
just anywhere across North Carolina. Just again to keep our face, to keep that personal connection
Yeah.
relevant, and to let people know, like, hey, we're people just like you. We love the hobby. We're enthusiastic about it. Like, it's really cool. Like, to kind of hear people talk about, like, oh yeah, the POW Productions. Like, I went to their show because I met him at a trade night, and I traded my Gyarados for his Rayquaza.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
That's right.
it's kind of like really cool to like hear those stories,
Mhm.
because I mean, it really gives you like that human touch, and to know that we went somewhere an hour and a half away, and this, because of that interaction, somebody took time out of their day to drive an hour and a half one way to come to our show, pay to get in. I mean, and have a great time,
Mhm.
and tell us that they can't wait for the next one.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, actual future plans.
Sorry.
We get a little sidetracked, especially when we talk about the hobby. Our biggest thing is just to expand our reach. We want to be able to do, larger, conventions and stuff. Like our biggest one right now was 300 tables, which is huge. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, especially we're not even a year old. Like
Exactly.
we have literally been around for 10 months as of today. So, our first ever show was on the national date, the day of the national
The date
convention.
of the national.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
it was our biggest competitor, across North Carolina, and we killed it. So our biggest thing is just to expand, just continue what we're doing, and just being for the people. We have a lot of niche ideas that we can't tell you all about yet,
Of course,
because it's
of
going to be
course.
original ideas. But then we want to expand into just one large show. We have all our, baseball stadium shows. We have 4 of those locked in this year, 2 in our convention center. We want to get 1 more in like a big area, like a Charlotte, a Raleigh, somewhere really big in North Carolina.
Central.
That's just
like a big central city.
It's going to be the East Coast card show. Like it's going to be one that people are flying out for, content creators are going to want to be for. So that's our biggest, that's our next step for us, is to, within the next year, to lock in something that large and
Yep.
just run it.
Mm.
So at
Not
least that's
taking-
where I see it.
Not taking
And it
your foot
definitely-
off the pedal. Yeah, go for it.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
I was
We
gonna say-
dream big.
And even to go like, and that's just like us, I'd say our 2-year plan. If you
Yeah.
want to talk about our 4 to 5 year plan, that's potentially going to like Virginia, Tennessee, Florida, possibly even like Texas.
Yeah, you wanted to do a road show. You want to take this on the road. Yeah.
I mean,
Run it.
And still, like, we want to have like we're going to have our home roots here in North Carolina, and we're going to remember the people that were there for us in the beginning, and still have our like roots shows. But at the same time, I mean, we again still staying human, but I mean, we want to grow this hobby, and you know, we have the content, we have the YouTube channel, so we want to reach as many people as we can again to grow the hobby. And so if we can have those interactions, and we can build those connections, and then see people. And have people see what we do, and then when we go and travel, they're going to want to be there.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, and so basically, just POW Productions wants to take over America, run the economy, a card-based economy, and that's the 10-year plan though. So we won't get too much into the 10-year plan, but we'll take over eventually.
We're getting there.
Everyone will just everyone will just have to bow down to us. Other than that, we're not no ego.
Same game plan as Pinky and the Brain.
No, I'm the brain.
10 months in, how many card shows now?
5.
4. So we had
3 dash shows, 1 pop-up show at a card shop, and then we're about to hit.
We did the show at Burlington.
Oh, we did the Burlington show. So we've done 5. We're about to hit our 6th.
2 weeks away, we're gonna have another show at another baseball stadium.
Yep,
in Greensboro.
May 25th. We'll have our next show. So we're about to hit 6.
I love it, and so. I would say, part of the name of the show, Doers Take, right? I go by Doer online, but it's also playing off of the theme and the concept of being a doer at heart, right? Not just planning and over planning and then never doing anything. You guys strike me absolutely as doers. You guys had a plan, didn't necessarily have everything lined up in place, but you guys just continued to believe and didn't take your foot off the pedal. And now, we're this many shows in. Do you? And Chris, you kind of mentioned that part. Kudos to your dad, right? You feel like he kind of planted that seed. Aaron,
100%.
Where does your drive for this hobby come from? And would you agree that you're a doer at heart?
Oh yeah, for sure. And my love for the hobby, I mean, I always go back to Chris getting me into the hobby, but it's that spark I felt that day. And then every show that I went to afterwards, it's seeing that whenever we put on a show or we go to another show and we see people that recognize us that have gone to our shows, and to hear the positive interactions that they had and how they can't wait for the next one. Hearing that is that's what motivates me. I mean, obviously I love the hobby and everything, but it's just to have more people fall in love with the hobby or fall more in love with the hobby and want to bring more people to it. Because we want to make it like more than just a trading card show. We want to make this a event for people to come to, because it's just a wonderful time. It's great energy. It's like good vibes, great people, nothing but knowledge to share and good times to be had. I mean, it's just having those interactions. Like I said in the beginning, when people were leaving the show saying, I'm going home to grab my stuff to come back, like that just hit me so good. Like really, that's what makes me love what we do.
It's an inspiring story, and you guys are just 10 months in, so that's what excites me about it, right? To see where you guys are going to be 24 months in, and so forth. I think it's inspiring and empowering for anybody that has ideas of starting their own entrepreneurial journey, card shows, whatever it may be. Before I pivot to just closing us out, just because we want to be human. We don't want to make it sound like everything's just been perfect, right? Everything's just went exactly how you planned. Tell me maybe each one of you, unless it's the same memory that comes to mind, but tell me maybe like the oh fuck moment or holy shit, like what are we gonna do moment as it pertains to these card shows that you can remember.
There's a lot.
What sticks out?
Okay, I'll take the easy route, and I'll say our first card show. We weren't allowed into the stadium until like an hour before the show started, if even that. We didn't have tables labeled for vendors. We didn't have them set up our way. They had it set up
were in
their
the parking
ways.
lot with us.
Yeah, and they were all waiting, and we're like, guys, just wait 1 second. Now, so we're just running around. They didn't have enough tables even out yet.
Paint
for
the
us.
picture. You guys sweating basically because of how nervous you are.
Until 2 o'clock.
So
it was 2 o'clock, and we had 900 people on our first show come through the door. which is insane numbers. So the whole time we're working vendors, working people.
I mean, we were getting
it was
we're getting chairs for our vendors at 1:30.
Yeah.
Like
it was
I'm not like
wild.
it was. I mean, you want to talk about chicken with their head cut off? Like it was the Wild West. We were telling vendors to wait. They weren't listening to us. They were going and grabbing their tables. They didn't even set it up right. They just had everything in 2 straight lines. They didn't have any groups. They didn't have any pods. Like, and I know that might sound, for people that don't go to card shows, I know this probably doesn't sound like you're not sure what's going on.
Yeah.
I didn't until he started showing me how to set everything up. But just, it was more set up like a job fair rather than a trade show. And that just made things so much more difficult. There was,
but now we good. Now we get let in early. She's like day before.
But you figured it out, right? You didn't
100%.
like you were like you could either just not do anything and the whole card show's a shit show, right? Or you just kind of pivot and go with it.
Yeah, you make the best of what you run with, what you brung, baby.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
yeah.
No, that's a big one. And I
that.
imagined it would have been one of the early shows where you learned like heavy, like, oh shit, this is how we're gonna start off.
Mm-hmm. I feel
Awesome.
like it almost feels like everything else has just gone like too smooth, you know? Like even now I get anxiety just like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen in the show? And then we just have tons of people show out and we're just like, oh, it wasn't that bad. It's like, because like being on this side of thing,
knock on wood, you have a show in 2 weeks.
But the thing is, being on this side of everything, we're not behind the table, we're not in front of the table. I don't know how many people are coming. I only know how many vendors is coming. But like I can't see, there's not a way to really track how many people are going. I can see how many people click on our website or have interest in our event. That's it. I don't know how many people come through the door. Our last show we had like 227 interested in our event, and we had like 880 people come through the door. Like those numbers don't mean anything.
Wow.
And then we had 5,000 like people hit our website within the last month and a half before that show, but we only had 800 people. So those numbers don't match up either. So there's not a way on this side of the table to really know what your show is going to be like until it just happens.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. You just have to expect greatness and you get greatness. So
yeah. And honestly, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, which you guys have, managed to just kind of finesse through. And I'm excited. I'm excited. So where I want to close this out is I didn't tell you this was on the agenda. And honestly, I didn't know it would be on the agenda until I saw the brotherhood that you guys share here. Like that's to me, that's just like, it's bleeding through the screen, and I love to see it. I absolutely love to see it.
Well, thank you.
I
want to.
Are you calling me ugly? You saying we look alike?
I want to. I mean, it's. All right. I'll let you guys do what you will with this, but
okay.
Tell me, what you guys mean to each other and what you guys are trying to build here. Whoever wants to go first.
Aaron is like, he's someone who's really helped me through some of the hardest times of my life, especially like losing my dad and everything. So like just having someone that's like older than me that I can always look up to like a brother. Like, yeah, I have an older brother, but like just always having someone who's right there. He lives a little bit further away. So just having Aaron, whenever you need him, I just need a warm meal and I can just go over there to his house. And it's like, I already cooked. Like, you're good. I've got enough meal to feed 4 people. I was going to eat it all, but you can have some.
Yeah.
But like, having someone that is like, so closely connected that I can trust with every ounce of my soul. Someone that like, I don't have to worry being best friends and still, I don't have to worry about the money. I don't have to worry about our cards. I don't have to worry about, leaving him at home, like alone with my cats. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing I have to ever think of that I have to be like, oh, is Aaron going to do this? Is this going to happen? I can just know like it's Aaron, like it's going to be good, So yeah, I think it's really the trust.
I'm gonna pull a Chris and be like, copy some
Everything
homework, pretty much everything he just said. But like at the same time, it's Chris is really. I mean, we can try to avoid getting too sappy. We both we have this brotherhood, I think, because we both understand like we don't come from the best households, but we had 1 or 2 people in our lives that always were a consistent light for us and always somebody that was good, but pretty much anybody else just wasn't really there for us. Could never count on anybody, just didn't have a lot. And we just learned to just do the best with what we had and not really to expect a whole lot from people. And that's one thing that I feel like has changed with me and Chris is somebody that I can't expect a lot from, and I can call when I need. And, that's just, I've only got like him and my mom that I can count on my hand that are people that I can trust. I mean, I have family too, but
Of
it's
course,
just
of course.
like he is a legitimate brother to me. And that's something like I've had plenty of friends. I've had best friends. You know, time happens, things happen, everybody comes and goes, stop checking in on each other, whatever happens, it's life. I mean,
Yeah.
but Chris is somebody that I don't ever want to let life happen to and always be together. But that's what this business is going to allow us to do. It's going to allow us to follow our dreams, do what we want to do, grow this hobby, share the love, and we're just always going to have each other. And that's probably the best part about this.
Do you think it was difficult at first, having both of you grow up?
I hated him.
Yes.
I hated him.
Oh
Really?
my god.
Did it start
you're
with
not
hate?
like you
Oh,
don't.
shit.
No, you don't
No.
understand.
Okay.
Like
I would say, well,
so backstory at the restaurant that I work at, and he just left, but he worked there. His aunt got him the job, and when he first started working, he was just this little. Well, not little by no means, but the most annoying thing. I mean, you want to talk about like the most annoying little brother you've ever seen? Like
That
talking
was
about
him.
like, oh yeah, I mean, just gaslighting you, would say some of the craziest stuff to
Yeah.
you, and then when you're trying to talk back to him, literally la 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 la, like just hit you with some of the most immature things, and like
I like that fun.
I would be slammed. I'm talking about like 18 tickets deep. I've got so many orders, so many modifications, and he is just literally trying to be like, so what were you watching last night? Like you having and just I mean messing me. I'm messing up orders left and right. Just wait, and I'm like,
And then
you
when
know
when he messes it up, I'm like, dude, you messed that up.
oh
What are you
yeah,
doing?
just like
Why aren't you focusing? Focus.
Yeah, it's like, dude,
yes,
pay attention.
no, you don't
Pay
understand. Or I guess you
Every
do,
time.
but like.
Gosh.
I don't know. We just kind of sort of had like the same sense of humor, and then it would be like whenever we would start messing around or like something funny would happen, me and him would both think it was funny when nobody else would, and that started kind of like bloom the friendship. And then
I thought we were friends the whole time.
yeah. But then, like he said, we started playing the trading card game together, like hanging out after work, and then we go to a card show, and then he turns into the Rain Man. I mean, you want to talk about like he has nothing to offer at work for conversation or like stimulating like anything intellectually. He is just there to turn his brain off. But then you take him to a card show, he is up to date with every vintage set, baseball, football, basketball. He's up to date with every modern set of the same sport, like every TCG on the market. I mean, he's just going out like first ever deal I saw him do. We go to the card show, we walk in. He walks about halfway through the show, finds a guy. The guy was like, let me see your binder. He gets this Charizard. They look it up on TCG Player. Chris works a deal with him, sells the Charizard. He hadn't even put the money in his pocket yet. He walks 3 tables over, finds another guy who has Pokemon, finds the same Charizard he just traded to the guy for $40 and an Umbreon, right?
Yeah, it was Umbreon. It was
Umbreon. And he paid $35 for both of those cards. He haggled the dude, and so he walked away with the same card he had, another card, and $5. And then I was like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "What?"
I've been doing this since I was 8 years old, brother.
Yeah, and then I'm like,
8 years old.
Where has this been the whole time? Like he never said anything about cards, about Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, football, nothing.
Yeah,
I mean, he just was like, again, like I said, he just you let him walk into a card show, he turns into Rain Man.
Put
He's
him
like
in his
counting
element,
numbers,
and he's a dangerous man.
Oh,
I'm different.
It's bad. Yeah, no, it's crazy.
I'm like that.
That's incredible.
But yeah, I mean, and then over time, we just really we both like the same type of foods. Like he shows me food, I'll show him food. We're both fat at heart. That's really the main connection.
And more than just heart, but
yeah.
No, more than heart, but yeah.
But
I mean, heart hurts because the food, but
absolutely. But yeah, I mean, we both love animals. I mean, there's really just
anime, animals, like I think anything in life, like which just same path.
Yeah, there's really no friction other than just and even the friction is you would be amazed. You'll see us argue and think we're about to kill each other, and then 30 seconds later it's fine.
Just chilling.
You wouldn't even know it.
My bad.
Which is powerful, right? Because I think it's the way you guys keep each other accountable.
You're not, 100%.
You don't gotta sugarcoat anything, which is gonna be very
and that's the
important
thing
as you guys continue to build this.
Yeah, that's one thing with Chris that I know is another reason why he's very important to me, is because there's not a lot of people that you can be honest with and that can be honest with you, and that you can take it, or like that criticism from somebody. Yeah, exactly. There's not a lot of people that you can check and can check you, and you're still willing to keep that relationship. It's all about accountability, and having somebody that holds you accountable is, I think, very meaningful and very important.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have that, I mean, it's not like, obviously you're your own person. You have to, take responsibility and take action for yourself. But at the same time, I mean, we're human. We are social beings and creatures. And to have somebody that, you can depend on in any aspect of life, whether it's having fun, having a fight, business, whatever, to know that you got their back and they got yours and you don't have to worry about it. It's just, and they'll tell you when you're slacking, and and you can pick it up, just like you could tell them when they're slacking or they're wrong, and they can fix it.
Yep.
It's hard to find. I commend you guys. I'm excited to see what you guys continue to do. Look forward to seeing the content 2 weeks from now for the card show. And we'll wrap it up here, boys. Hang on after the show. But guys, this has been Doers Take Breaks. We hope you enjoyed this. Guys, why don't you let them know where they can find you? I want you guys to plug in every possible outlet, channel, page.
OnlyFans.
I was hoping you'd put that one.
Okay, so
that's the Patreon.
POW Productions NC on Instagram. You got powcardShows.com for our website. And you've got our YouTube, POW Rips, so you can watch us do rips and just different collections I buy, and
our new series for our vlogs for the card shows on how to run a card show.
How to run a card show. So if you want to learn the ins and outs of running a card show, you can check out those videos too. Obviously, we got one coming up in 2 weeks. So
a little bit more behind the scenes of what we actually do, like during the day, what goes on putting on the card shows, the problems we run into during. The fun we have while it's going on.
Yeah.
Places we eat. I mean,
the important stuff.
There's a lot of food. There's a lot of food in our life.
Yeah, the important stuff. So definitely check us out. And that's about it.
Awesome. This has been a pleasure, fellas. Really, thank you guys for your time. I really enjoyed this.
It's been awesome.
I knew this was going to be a fun one. You guys bring a lot of energy, and I think folks are really going to enjoy it. But guys, we're out. Weekly content, MMA content here. Please make sure to subscribe, follow across all social handles if this is your type of content. Until next time, we are out, y'all. Peace.